Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Gabby Rosley podcast, a platform devoted to expanding our lives by connecting to the wisdom of the collective. Through relatable discussions on topics like communication, connection, leadership, science, and spirituality, we offer revolutionary perspectives and practical tools for creating positive change, right here, right now. But I don't want this to be some stiff lecture hall-esque vibe, so we make it fun, raw, and real. With expert guests and relatable conversations, my goal is to inspire you to break through limitations and remember that it is possible to live a life you're excited to wake up to every day. Thank you for being here and enjoy the episode.
Are y'all being for real right now? It's been 6 months since I have sat down and recorded a podcast episode. We are back, and we are better than ever for season 5 of the Gabby Rosley podcast, previously the Crucial Conversations podcast, until a friend alerted me that the name Crucial Conversations was indeed trademarked. And so I chose to go with my first and last name to avoid such altercations in the future. You guys, the reason that I have not been putting out episodes is because A, I've been extremely busy with all amazing things that I've prayed for and I'm so grateful to be busy with. But I also was going through a bout of just lack of inspiration and feeling a lot of resistance behind getting back to recording. And it's been on my heart for the last couple of months to sit down and start recording episodes again. And it's December now, so I figured might as well start the new year out with a shebang. And every year I do a year reflection and I pose some questions and I answer those questions to help kind of connect with you guys in this process of reflection and projecting into the new year. So that is exactly how I'm going to get back into the podcasting seat. That's exactly how we're going to start season 5 today. We are going to do a 2025 reflection and 2026 vision casting little reflection activity. So I'm going to be giving you guys a couple of questions and then I'm going to be answering those questions. And I also want to speak over and breathe life into this season of the podcast and into the year 2026. This platform started as an opportunity for me to connect to myself through conversation, connect to others in conversation. And I am really anchoring in that intention to be free in the flow state in all the conversations that I have on this show for season 5. I've done a lot of exploring with the kind of guests that I've had on and the kind of topics that I've discussed, and it has all been so much fun and I don't regret any one of them. But I really, really want this season to encapsulate the entirety of who I am and also all of the growth that I have gone through in the last couple of years since I started this podcast. And also to reflect what I'm doing full-time for work now, which is speaking and coaching, facilitating workshops and working with executive teams, leaders, and all that fun stuff. So we're still going to be talking about leadership. We're still going to be talking about communication, probably a lot more of that, but we're also going to be talking about personal branding and vision and living your dreams. We're definitely going to be rooting deep into faith and expanding on some of the topics that we've gone into in previous seasons. But again, I want to bring this new, fresh perspective of that reflects my growth and where I'm at in my life right now. Which is crazy because I genuinely have changed so much. Not changed, I guess that's the wrong word, because I really do feel like I've always been exactly who I am at my core. But I've transformed a lot, and there's a lot of different things in my life that have changed, and environments and relationships. And we're going to get into all those things today in our reflection. So if you do not have a pen and paper, or you're not able to sit down and reflect and write with me, then I recommend that you save this episode for later so that you can sit down and you can go through this activity with me, because it is so important to reflect and celebrate yourself for all of the amazing things that you did and experienced this year. And if we don't do that for ourselves, nobody's going to do it for us. And so often, especially in our culture, we are in pursuit of the next thing and setting the next goal and achieving the next monumental status or position or relationship. And we forget to celebrate ourselves. And I just want to take a moment to celebrate every single person who is listening to this episode right now, because this year has been a year. This year has been a year. This was a 9-year If you're into numerology, that means that it is the end of a cycle, of a 9-year cycle. This was also the year of the snake. So there was a lot of shedding going on. There was a lot of release. There was a lot of letting go of things that are no longer aligned with you, so that as we enter next year, 2026, which is a 1 year, the year of the horse, hey yo, we can welcome all that is meant for us and be open to the opportunities that God has in store for each and every one of us. We were able to shed the old skin to make room for the new. And if we don't celebrate ourselves and honor the things that we have released, it makes it a little bit more difficult to welcome the new things with an essence of gratitude and openness. So this is an invitation to celebrate yourself and to honor your experiences, because in honoring your own experiences and celebrating what you've been through, you're honoring God's path for you. And I thoroughly believe that God has a unique path intended for each and every one of us. And when we celebrate the things that we've been through and grown into and through and transformed because of, we're celebrating God. And that's a really powerful thing. So celebrate yourself. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to celebrate myself. And then as we cast our visions for 2026, I just want to emphasize the reason behind vision casting and why it is so important to speak life into your vision and breathe life into your dreams, because the power of the tongue is undeniable, and it is the most powerful tool that we have access to right here, right now. It is our words, it is our thoughts, it is our ability to create, and we can do that with the tongue, and we can infuse energy behind the words, especially when we're able to connect with God and make sure that we are following God's will and not just following our own, but that we are using the powers that God has given us to speak life into our dreams. Because why else would we be here on this earth if not to use the gifts that God has given us to do great things and to impact the world in a positive way and to change lives, to spread love and kindness and artistry and creativity. That's what this is about. And so when we speak these visions into existence by answering questions and getting granular about the details about what we want to feel, what we want to experience, what we want to achieve, we then make it that much more possible. It's just like prayer. If you believe, then you will receive. And if you speak and you believe, then you will create. God will create. We're working together in this partnership, and it's a really beautiful thing. So let's get into it. Let's get into these questions. The first question, reflecting on 2025, is: what was the most impactful lesson you learned from the past year, and what were some of the self-discoveries that it brought? I want y'all to sit with that. I know it took me a minute to sit with it, and I'm going to share my answer, but pause this if you're not ready for it. My most impactful lesson this year was that if things are not flowing and you're forcing, it's because it's not meant to be. It's so funny because I ride this line constantly, and I feel like every time I do this year-end reflection, I'm talking about this. Talk about the same thing, but I feel like I learn layers of depth of it every single year, new layers of depth. And it is that balance between execution and faith. Okay, when is it my time to step up and take action versus let God do his thing and trust that he's got me and I'm not alone? Okay, but this lesson being that if things aren't flowing and you're forcing, that it's because it's not meant to be. Essentially what I mean by that is that there were so many things this year, especially in the first half, when it came to do with my career, when it came to do with my living situation, where I was trying to force things. I was trying to go against the natural flow of what was coming into and going out of my life to align with a timeline that it was not the one God had meant for me. I wanted my timeline over anybody else's. I wanted to move out by January, February, and I was trying to push to live in Grand Rapids. And I had a plan, but the plan fell through. And I was frustrated in this process because I wanted to move, and I wanted to move out of my parents. I wanted a new city. I wanted a new chapter. I wanted a new environment. but I was forcing against Riley, who I was going to be living with, because I wanted so badly to live with her and to move on this timeline, but it wasn't right for her. And we both kind of felt something was off in the location, and neither of us wanted to admit it to each other. But I thank her so much because she did admit it to me, and I finally had to sit with, okay, maybe I'm being directed elsewhere. Maybe there's a timeline that I need to adhere to above my own. And that led me to Chicago. And I'm so glad that it did. But it was really hard for those couple of months when I was trying to force, and I wasn't taking into consideration the signs that God was giving me, from my own feelings, from Riley's feelings, from even just the ease or the excitement of going to look at apartments and sign the lease and do the thing. I think that when we think about flow, we can oftentimes follow excitement to follow flow. What are we most excited about in life? Oftentimes that's where we are being called, and that's where things feel most in flow, because excitement, I believe, is a natural instinctive feeling that all of us are able to experience when we're living God's will, because our spirit lights up and is like, yes, we're finally doing the damn thing. We're finally listening. We're finally listening to that internal wisdom and to the Holy Spirit and where it's guiding us. So following excitement, you can follow flow that way. And I mean, I struggle with trusting when I'm not in control. I really struggle with trusting the process and releasing timelines. I also never feel like I'm doing enough, which is rooted in the belief that I'm not good enough. Unfortunately, I've had to admit that to myself after working with a coach, and she, God love her, exposed that belief that I used to pride myself in saying I never held. But I think that at the surface, or at the core of a lot of the grip that I have on so many areas of my life is because I'm so afraid of being average. I'm so afraid of failure. And it's because there is a part of me that thinks maybe I'm not good enough if I don't do things exactly this way, or really big things or really successful things. And so that's been an interesting lesson to sit with as well. But yeah, I'm actively working to replace that belief with who I am is constant, and my value stays the same no matter what I do or don't do. I had a coaching call today with Steven, and I was working through some of these things with him, and also this reflection question with him, and he really kind of helped to give me perspective too about this idea that I'm not good enough. It's you can replace that belief with I am made exactly the way that God intended me to be. And that's really, really powerful, because it takes the power away from your own belief in yourself and more in the belief of who you are in God, and more of a faith in God and how he made you exactly as you are. So yeah, if things aren't flowing and you're forcing, it's because it's not meant to be. Follow your excitement, follow the flow, lean into things that feel like they have momentum, and trust the seasons of life. Okay. If God is calling you to a timeline that doesn't adhere to your own, let it happen. We've all seen the pictures of the comparison of God's plan versus your own plan. Your plan has 5 or 6 flowers, and God's has 500 or 600 flowers. This is true, and this is real. Second question. What were your proudest accomplishments, both in your professional and personal life this year? This is that invitation to celebrate yourself. What are you proud of? What did you accomplish this year in your personal and your professional life that you're proud of? For me, I moved into my first apartment in May, and that was really, really exciting. The growth in my career has been such a blessing. I mean, at this time last year, if you would have told me that I would be full-time in this and making enough money to actually afford to live in Chicago, and yes, dip into some of my other accounts versus just the revenue that I've made month to month. But I'm doing the damn thing, and I'm really proud of that. I signed my first $5,000 workshop. So exciting. I'm going to be having my first, actually, I think this might be my second, or no, I think this might be my first. I'm going to be having a month that is, close to $6,700. And I've been saying that I want to have consistent $6,000 months for a long time now. And the reason I'm sharing numbers right now, I think it's important because I want to be real and I want to be vulnerable as somebody who's building a business. And I also want to be encouraging to those that are starting out at $0 a month, because For about 8 months last year when I started my business, I made maybe $100 a month. Okay. So, yeah, this is real life shit going on here. And I think it's important to share numbers because, numbers are kind of how we make sense of this reality and, our financial standing. So, yeah, important. I am really, really proud of the vulnerability and humility that I have stepped into in my relationship with John. I am so proud of how my communication has grown in that relationship and how it has grown my heart and my generosity in all other areas of my life, how it has grown my understanding and my connection to myself and to others. And I think that we kind of fast tracked that growth by being radically humble and vulnerable in the presence of each other. I am really, really proud of myself also for being more generous, because I'm also not battling, I don't want to say battling because I don't want to be fighting, but I'm working through scarcity, and beliefs that I have surrounding just, safety and security, being in a scarcity mindset. And that doesn't always have to do with money, but sometimes it does. And in the past, I always used to make jokes that I was like a super stingy person. Like me and my siblings would basically, be the siblings where we'd be like, so, we doing gifts this year? Hopefully not. And we'd all kind of agree on it. We're all a little bit stingy, honestly. And my friends and I are the same way. We would joke and be like, yeah, I'm showing up to your wedding and, I'll have an IOU and you can turn it in for for an at-home massage or something later. Like we didn't really ever do the gifts. And yeah, I just went in and I bought some Christmas gifts for my family and for John's family, and it feels good. So excited to be stepping more into that. Yeah, I guess I have a lot more to be proud of than I thought that I did. And as I was filling this out, I realized it's important to celebrate it. So building my LinkedIn presence, attending networking events in the city and navigating the city. Like I was so scared to do that when I first moved here, but learning how to actually parallel park, find free street parking, take the bus, walk places, walk alone at night. My God, that was scary for a minute. Joining a swim team, because I joined a swim team here in Chicago and I freaking love it. And it's so much fun and I look forward to it every single night. Takes me back to my mermaid roots. Yeah. So getting back into that shape, like I am lean AF and it feels good. Making time to visit home and spending one-on-one time with every member of my family, staying in touch, hosting my first retreat with Say Yes with Riley. We hosted our first retreat in Colorado. I attended a leadership training put on by Novus Global, and that radically changed my life and my career trajectory. Hiring a mentor of my own, Andrea, who I mentioned earlier. She's a Novus Global coach and I love her. She's been great. And I've growing so much in our relationship. So proud of myself for that. Getting new coaching clients, having my first MC gig, traveling for my job, and building relationships with John's family. Those are all things I'm super proud of. Okay, thanks guys for reflecting with me. It's interesting to do this out loud, holding a microphone in my room/office in my apartment, knowing that there are going to be people listening to this later and hopefully celebrating and reflecting with me. But let's move on to the next question. Similar, but different. What were the most significant events of your year? Significant, like had ripple effects. For me, it was starting to work with Will, the public speaker and facilitator in Toronto, who I work part-time with, and I've learned so much about the speaking industry and workshop creation and industry with. Moving to Chicago, falling deeper in love with John, leaving Say Yes because, it didn't end up being aligned. It was really hard. Riley and I co-founded that retreat business together, and it wasn't right for me and my heart to continue. And so leaving that was very difficult, very, very difficult. Electric Forest, because Electric Forest always, it's like a return home. I know that there's been a lot people being like, oh, Insomniac or whatever, the parent company that puts on these festivals is taking over and increasing prices and everything. Yeah. And I totally agree. Support your local small festivals. Okay. Sometimes especially like big, huge concerts and Live Nation and all that weird shit they got going on behind the scenes with these big elitist companies. Who knows? But Electric Forest is magic, and it's always extremely impactful. That'll be another story for another day. But John and I meeting our literal twin flame spirit guides at Electric Forest was pretty insane. So that'll be, again, another episode. Joining the swim team, and then Thanksgiving at home with John. I brought John and Coatsy back for Thanksgiving, and we had a freaking blast. And yeah, it's so cool. After moving out of your parents' house or your hometown and then going back to visit, you kind of get to meet yourself and meet those people in your family on a different level and in a different light. And it's just a testament to growth and life and relationship and all that fun stuff. Okay, next question. What were your biggest challenges this year? In 2025, what tested you? What were your biggest challenges? For me, I struggled with my back. I got an L4, L5, S1 spine fracture. I mean, a herniated disc, not really a fracture, but I got some back issues going on. And sometimes they be causing me lots of pain. You know what I'm saying? So my back, that was difficult challenge. The in-between, when I didn't have a job with Will yet and I felt like a total bum. I wasn't actively working. Like I had left my corporate job in January of 2024 to do the Costa Rica traveling kind of sabbatical year. And then I had my first keynote in November of 2024, a couple workshops in October, but then it came around 2025, January, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing with my life? Because I really want to do this speaking workshop stuff, but I got no leads. So that in-between was really hard. I was like frantic posting on LinkedIn trying to find a part-time job. I even worked at a restaurant for 3 weeks as a hostess. And I kind of needed that because after those 3 weeks, and I think I was making like $8 an hour. That was the least I'd ever made in my entire life. And the reason that I needed that experience is not because I do not think that industry has a lot to teach and has built some of the most successful and heart-centered people that I've ever known. But for me, it was a real reality check. If I'm going to be spending my time doing something that has no place in the vision that I have for my life, instead of pouring myself into my business and doing the footwork and building the foundation necessary for me to live my vision, if I wasn't going to do the hard work for myself and I was going to sign off and do it for somebody else because it was easier in the moment, I had to get my mother head on straight. You feel me? So yeah. All right, that was a tangent. Where are we at now? Yes. Acclimating to living with a roommate. When I was living at home, I had my space upstairs and my parents kind of called that my apartment. But when I wanted, I could alienate myself from everybody else and take my alone time because we lived in a big house. And now I live in a 900-foot square apartment with a roommate and I love him to death. But sometimes it gets a little stuffy. We both work from home and finding alone time can be a little bit difficult sometimes. So acclimating to that. And learning to cohabitate with someone in such a small space has really been, it's been a challenge, but it's been really rewarding. Feeling safe and secure with the amount I'm making versus spending. I think a lot of business owners can resonate with this. Challenging myself to really deepen my understanding of what independence looks like in a committed, devoted relationship. Feeling guilty and selfish for doing things for me, but also deeply committing and honoring John in everything that I do. It's like, there's a difference between codependence and interdependence, and figuring that out has been a process. My relationship with God has been a bit of a struggle for me this year because I've been struggling with guilt and fear around more ceremonial practices and kind of new age stuff that I explored a lot in Costa Rica and in 2024, and have found a lot of truth and a lot of deep connection and understanding to God in. But now I'm kind of like wondering if they're Christ-like or are they anti-Christ-like, how much to trust your heart and your intuition, and then how obedient to be, because obedience is true service and truth, and how do we know what to be obedient to? And so I've been, struggling with that and my faith, but always keeping God at the center of everything and keeping my prayer life active, being in the Word, and seeking out fellowship has been really helpful. And I think struggling too with just judgment and my ego when it comes, especially to things that have to do with spirituality and faith. I mean, I feel like I find judgment in everything that I try when it comes to faith, whether it's a non-denominational church and I'm like, this is culty, the way that they're inviting people to get baptized for their first service they've ever attended. I mean, I don't know. Is that a bad thing, or am I just judgmental? Okay. When I go to Catholic Mass, I judge the Catholic Mass because I'm like, this is so rigid. I don't feel a connection to God. Then I judge the spiritual community because I'm like, y'all are talking about my truth of your highest truth. And it's just like, okay, but that's subjective. Do you have any moral goalposts, or is it just like what you feel in the moment? I don't know. Maybe I'm just being judgmental. I'm just an asshole. Or maybe I'm contemplating, and maybe this is actually growing me closer to God. But yeah, that was a challenge for me for sure this year. So still learning and moving through that, but keeping Christ at the center of everything that I do, and learning to find that balance of the kingdom of heaven lives within, but also we're called to serve and be obedient to moral laws that are outside of our own understanding in any given moment and may be clouded by the emotions or feelings that we have, but to honor what we are committed to and what we value over what we feel in any given moment, I think is true freedom. So just working through all that when it comes to faith. Okay, next question. Moving on. Can you identify any patterns or habits that hindered your progress? How do you plan to address them? Let me be MF for real. Staying up late and scrolling, gotta stop for me. It's gotta stop. I'm gonna need to delete apps from my phone. I gotta set limits. I gotta put that code back on my phone that Coatsy and I, my roommate, were going back and forth for each other, had codes to block out apps after certain times. I gotta get back on that because I'd be doom scrolling. Okay. And, I was really good for a long time about not going on my phone first thing in the morning, but I've started to do that a little bit more recently. And I don't like that. It fills me with a lot of shame. I got to keep my phone on airplane mode until after my morning routine. Habits hindering my progress, not doing my physical therapy exercises for my back. Yeah, I got to stop that. Actually, no, I need to start that. And I have been this week. I've done them 3 times this week, and I am very proud of myself for that. Vaping. Nicotine is bad for you. I should probably stop hitting vapes, and that has hindered my progress and also filled me with a lot of guilt and shame. So I need to not hit vapes. Yeah, and it's not like I feel like have struggled with having one and consistently buying one, but it's like, okay, I go, to a festival and it's like, oh, let me get a vape for a week. Let me hit that vape. Oh God, I'm admitting this podcast, but I said I was going to be authentic this season, y'all. And yeah, 2026, I'm going to leave that behind. It's a nasty habit. Next question. How did you use your strengths and values to overcome the challenges you faced? This is inspired. It's a question inspired by one of the strengths coaches that I worked with in my first corporate job, Karen Bebuck, Strengths Advisors. If you guys have teams and you're looking for strengths training, she is amazing and her company is absolutely wonderful. But my strengths, when I first did my Clifton Strengths exam, or my Clifton Strengths Finder test, were achiever, competition, focus, strategic, and relator. So when I thought about my strengths and values helping me to overcome the challenges I faced, I connected to my achiever strength. I get things done and I do things well. And so hiring a coach, investing in leadership training, like moving towards my vision, my vision being John and, a life with him and a family with him eventually, and just lifestyle in general, being able to travel and have freedom. So that achiever in me connecting to that vision has helped me to overcome challenges because I ground back into my vision when I feel like I'm going astray. and being okay with letting things go to make room for what matters most. That I think my strategic has helped me there, helping me make decisions when I feel confused. Focus has helped me. Strategic has also helped me to consistently show up to take action, even though I still struggle with feeling like I'm never doing enough, which is me in a basement of my achiever strength, but we're working through it. All right, next question for y'all. What is working in this question I actually posed to John. I'm reading questions from our 1 year reflection. So what I said for this question, you could ask this to yourself if you're in a partnership. What's working in your relationship? What's not working? And what are some areas for improvement? And then you can share that with your partner. When I posed this question in a coaching session earlier with Steven, the way that I asked that question was instead, what is working in your business and what is not working, or what are some areas for improvement? So I'll let you guys sit with that one. I'll share what I said for what's working in my relationship right now with John. Our communication is the best that I've ever experienced in my life. We're always open and honest. We let love lead the way. We are constantly reassuring each other and offering support and meeting each other with curiosity and humility, vulnerability, the whole 9 yards. It's truly beautiful. I never go a day without feeling unappreciated or I'm sorry, I never go a day without feeling appreciated or seen by him. We prioritize adventures and having fun. We help each other grow by challenging each other and holding space. And so I think that, those things, really recognizing what's working and then what's not working, are really important. For what's not working, I'll keep that private to honor and respect John and I's relationship, of course. But let me just give you a little tidbit into that it's funny. When I was thinking about what's not working, I really struggled to come up with things, but I was able to answer this question from a place of how can we actually help each other to grow more than we are right now. So that's really cool. But in my business, if I think about what's working and what's not working, what's working, I have really, really built up my network on LinkedIn and scheduling chats and learning from people and being intentional about the time that I invest in meeting other people in my industry and collaborating with them. I'm a lot more confident in sharing about what I do. I have developed a lot more assets, and I've been really focusing on outreach and having my services listed online in public places. So that outreach and that marketing is going really well. The workshops that I've been giving and the keynotes that I've been giving have been going well. I've been getting a lot of great feedback, and really kind of building up my arsenal of testimonials. What's not working in my business, I would say that there is a lack of consistency in some of the things that I'm doing that I would like to see a little bit more of, but I'm also realizing that to be super structured is actually not what I want. It's what I thought that I wanted, but it's actually not what I want. I kind of like doing things differently every day. But I would like some more consistency, say, in the applications that I'm sending in for speaking gigs, or reaching out to my champions or people that I've worked with in the past and asking for referrals. So I think I could be asking, having more bold asks. I would say that I'm kind of sleeping on some of those right now, and might also not be working, that I tend to hold myself up, and because I work from home and work alone, sometimes it's lonely. So sometimes I feel like that's not working. Okay, next question. What support do you need going into the new year, and who can you lean on? This is a really important question. What support do you need going into the new year, and who can you lean on? And I'm going to let y'all answer this question because I actually answered this question for John and I's relationship, but still a good question to ask. Okay, this one's fun because we're getting into 2026 now. All right. Every year I choose 1 to 2 words, maybe a phrase, depending on the vibes, for the year. So what we're going to do right now is we are going to choose a word or phrase for 2026. And this word or phrase is going to be your goalpost. It's going to be your guide. It's going to be the anchor to your vision and what you're calling in this year. It is your intention. It is the energy that you are speaking into 2026. in all areas. And so when I sat with this, it was very clear what word came up to me. It was expansion. Feels so potent. Expansion. Expansion of love in my relationship. Expansion of my emotions and my connections to others, my relationships, my friendships, my family members. Expansion in my business. Expansion in my offers. Doing deep work with my clients. Improving my keynotes. Expanding my reach. Speaking to bigger audiences, facilitating more workshops, expanding my book of business, expanding my bank account, making more money than I've ever made before, and expanding my ability to be present and feel peace and joy and grief and anger and sorrow. I want to feel deeper than I ever have before in 2026. I want to expand my ability to live the human experience. I want to expand my ability to create my dreams, and I want to expand those dreams. I want to build layers of depth into those dreams, into my relationships. Moving on to following questions for 2026. What specific professional skills or personal qualities would you like to enhance or develop in the coming year? What do you want to spend more time doing? Where do you want to improve? What skills, what activities do you want to try? You want any new hobbies? You calling it any new hobbies for 2026? Here's mine, my first one, cooking more. It's so funny. If you ask anybody that knows me or spends a lot of time with me, I am like a freaking robot when it comes to eating. I will and have eaten the same meal every week as I meal prep for months in a row. And I'm not ashamed to admit it because it works for me, okay? I spice it up every now and then, but not very often if I'm being honest. So I want to cook more. I want to try new recipes. I want to expand my palate. Expansion. I also want to improve my storytelling skills in my keynotes and in my workshops and in life. I want to tell more stories, okay? I want to take little moments from my life and create them into stories. And I want to be creative with the way that I tell those stories. I want to let myself be a little silly, goofy, flamboyant. And I want to practice storytelling. I want to connect with audiences that I speak with and work with in storytelling as well. I want to develop my prayer life, more consistency in that. I want to give back to charity, give back to those that can't give me anything in return more. I want to partner with more Christian groups, helping build into whether it's ministry group leaders or really anybody in leadership positions in Christian groups. I'd really, really love to work with more Christian groups. I worked with one this past year in a professional capacity, and it was so wonderful, and I want to do more of that. I would like to get some training that'll help lead to more effective coaching programs and workshops. Might be Novus Global for me. Might be Clifton Strengths. I'm leaning towards Novus Global right now. But I need to start studying too. I want to expand my knowledge. I want to expand my wisdom. I want to learn more. I want to read more books, listen to more podcasts, go to more network meetings. I want to be a sponge, and I really, really, really want to become an expert. 2026 is about expansion. It's about locking in mastery for me in my career, and then expanding, of course, in all other areas. But yeah, mastery is also another big word, but 2026 is about expansion. Okay, let's stay on track here, Gabby. If you're doing this in a relationship, the next question is, how can your partner help you to reach those goals? That's also a really good question. Let's say you work with somebody. Let's say you've got a co-founder or somebody you work really closely with. How can your assistant, how can your partner help you to reach these goals? Great question. And then the next question, also, if you're working with a partner or you have somebody close in your life that you want to do this activity with, what personal leadership or professional development goals do you have for your partner? This is really great. And like I said, John and I are literally meeting tomorrow morning to go over this. We're going to go have breakfast. We're going to get coffee, and we're going to go over this year reflection, exchange answers with each other. And then we've got a whole bunch of questions that are going to help us to reconnect to our core values in our relationship, what we're grateful for in each other, our goals and our rocks for those goals, our budgets, and our headlines, big announcements, planning for things coming up, all that fun stuff. So if you're in a relationship, I would just allow this to be your invitation to sit down with your partner and go over these questions, because it's going to be so unbelievably powerful for you and your partner individually and as a collective whole. And I just cannot say enough about being intentional about connecting to vision for a partnership, for a relationship. It's really powerful. Okay. Next, what goals do you have for your business, and how can your leadership style contribute to their achievement? That's our next question for 2026. What goals do you have for your business, and how can your leadership style contribute to their achievement? Here's mine. Get a podcast. Get my podcast. Get this podcast freaking going. I took 6 months off. It's time to get back in the saddle. I want to start giving more inspirational keynotes designed to get people amped up. Just doing the damn thing. I want to hold myself accountable. I want to sign more coaching packages, build sustainable income. I want to go all in on keynotes and workshops. How can I best serve audiences? I really want to expand my ability to connect and to educate and inspire. Where do I need to grow and expand to be a hit and get hired? It's kind of the question on my mind. I have projections that are consistent to a certain degree, that aren't just month to month by chance. You know, leaning on God has been a really big part of this career for me, and I love that. And I know that there will always be a huge degree of that, but how can I expand into some consistency and security in my income rather than kind of just leaving it to, oh, well, whatever comes to me, comes to me. That sounds all fun and games until I'm freaking out about planning 4 months in advance. Next question. What has gotten in the way of you achieving your goals in the past? I'll tell you, for me, it's my mindset. It's scarcity. It's thinking it's hard to secure high-ticket clients or make a lot of money. It's my relationship to stress and overwhelm. Emphasis on my relationship to, because stress and overwhelm themselves are not bad things, but our relationship to these emotions is the thing that causes us suffering. Ladies and gentlemen, mic drop moment. Choosing what's comfortable in the moment versus the long term. That's a struggle for me sometimes. Overextending myself, saying yes to too many things, stressing out about the things that I prayed for. Could be signaling to God that I don't really want more of those things, but I do, but I stress myself out about them the second I get them. That's interesting. What's that about? Next question. How do you envision building and strengthening your professional network this upcoming year? If you are not super big baller business this year, or maybe that's not your jam, you can rephrase this question. How do you envision building and strengthening your relationships this upcoming year? In fact, I like that question better. I just so happened to answer this from a business perspective, so I'm going to answer that way, but I really like centering this around relationships. I might even take a moment to answer that too for my own reflection and growth. But my business answer was continuing to network on LinkedIn, engaging with more people's posts, commenting, sending more personalized DMs, building relationships, doing some pro bono work for exposure, connection calls with people in my industry, providing value to them, not just, what can I get, but what can I give? Keeping a list of people in my network to recommend or share opportunities. So if I cannot take a gig, I want to give more gigs to other people and refer to other speakers that are in this same hustle that I am. I want to attend more events, and I want to share more openly about what I do and make bold asks. Now, for my relationships, how do you envision building and strengthening your relationships this upcoming year? More intentionality and more shared experiences. More ceremonial living. More opportunity to be present and connect to the heart. more hangouts that are focused on fun. Okay, can we plan new things and try new things and experience life together? And B, conscious connection. So can we sit in ceremony? Can we meditate? Can we do breath work? Can we have a reflection session together? Can we go over our goals? Can we ask how we hold each other accountable? I'd like to strengthen my relationships that way. And that's by carving out time to do that and being honest about my intentions with the people that I'm calling into my life and nurturing relationships with. This next question also about a partner, but also can be translated toward relationships. How can you create a supportive environment for yourself and your partner, fostering growth and collaboration? This could also be, how can you create a supportive environment for you and your family? Could just be you. Could be you and a best friend. How can you create a supportive environment for yourself and your partner, fostering growth and collaboration? Here's what I've got. Reminding each other of our goals and commitments, checking in, leading with curiosity and support no matter what the outcome is, encouraging the best because I know what you're capable of, that always being the underlying structure that is guiding our conversations and our inquiries. Honoring the opportunity to challenge each other. This is really big because this is how we grow. So in my relationship with John, really want to honor that opportunity to challenge each other. Asking where we can help each other more often and being honest in our answers, challenging ourselves to find something to say versus, oh no, I'm all good. Okay. I think, again, this is back to interdependence that we talked about at the beginning of this episode. Being in a committed and devoted relationship is an opportunity to dive into interdependence and see how powerful that can be in a relationship and in your heart as an individual. I think this question is really powerful for that reason. Okay, now we have one more question. I just added this question. It's because in the coaching session that I planned for Stephen earlier today, I asked this question and it gave some of the most palpable answers. So I want to close out on this question for you guys. This is the last question. Grounding into 2026. If we were sitting here, if you and I were sitting here having a conversation about all of the things that came true for you in 2026, and they are so impressive that it literally brings tears to your eyes as you're telling me about these things that you accomplished and experienced, what would you be telling me? Sit with that for a bit. And I want these things to bring tears to your eyes as they are so impressive. I'm going to share mine with you. I'm going to breathe life into this vision. I'm going to share it with you guys because I trust y'all. Here we go. I have a 6-figure speaking and coaching business, and I work with high performers and executive teams across the country. I work with Olympic athletes, retreat leaders, musical artists, pastors, and ministry leaders at companies like NASA, GoPro, Google, Meta, and large Christian organizations. Yep, that happened for me in 2026. And I am so freaking grateful for it. What else happened to you in 2026, Gabby? Oh, Gabby, let me tell you, I'm a part of a network and a team that helps me grow, a community that helps me grow, learn, and succeed. Maybe it's Novus Global. Maybe it's a different organization, but maybe I get to go on company trips and retreats. I've taken my mom and dad on a vacation to see new parts of the world and experience new things. This is so important to me. I cannot wait to bring more experiences to my family and allow for the most beautiful and expansive opportunities in my life to overflow into the cups of the other people that I love. Because travel and adventure is such a big part of who I am. I want to share more of those experiences with my mom and my dad. Another thing I have on here, at the end of 2026, I'm telling me that I've taken my siblings on a sibling trip that challenges us and brings us closer together and to God, a backpacking trip in the West. I'm calling it in. That's happening, 2026. Oh, wait, it already did. I have a great group of girlfriends that I stay connected to online and in person. We support and uplift each other. We hold space. We sit in ceremony and can also have crazy, goofy, silly, fun, unhinged times because I'm a multifaceted human being as well as a Gemini and I need both ends of the spectrum. Thank you. Gabby, what else have you done in 2026? Gabby, let me tell you, John and I have traveled to new places like Lake Tahoe, Colorado, Montana, Washington, etc. And we've tried new things, met new people, and grown individually and in our love for each other and in our faith in the Lord. Wow, Gabby, sounds like a freaking awesome 2026. Well, actually, Gabby, I'm not done yet. Guess what? My back is also fully healed, and I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. I'm swimming and I'm lifting weights consistently. I look and I feel amazing. Crazy story. I actually live in a high-rise with a beautiful view of the city and the lake with John in Lakeview East, Chicago. It's decorated with love. It feels like a humble, cozy abode. Guess what else is going on? John and I are engaged and beginning to plan for our future, our wedding. I'm living so closely to God that I trust in his path fully and know confidently that I'm abiding by his will in all areas of my life. I've grown closer in the relationships that I have with John's family. My podcast has sponsors and generates passive income, $1,500 a month. My investment portfolio is growing and I'm leveraging my assets to create generational wealth. Zane and I have grown closer together and to God on our trip to British Columbia, exploring Banff and enjoying Shambhala. We're going in July. I'm the most joyful and at peace in my mind, in flow in my life, and present in love in all that I do than I ever have been before. I am kind and generous by nature. I have given back and found opportunities to be of service, giving to those that can give me nothing in return. Yes, that feels really good. That feels really incredible to say these things out loud. And I hope that you give yourself the same opportunity to speak into your life and your 2026 with these reflection questions. And I just want to say thank you guys so much. If you're listening to this episode and you're here for season 5 of this podcast, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. I am so proud of you. I am so, so honored to be here chatting with you. And I also want you to know that your opinions and your thoughts and any feedback that you have matters to me very deeply. So if you want to send me a message, connect with me on LinkedIn or send me an email, or you can find me on Instagram as well. I'd love to hear from you, your thoughts on the episode, or just catch up about life in general. If you're looking for a relationship in a coaching capacity, I do have a couple of spots open for 2026 to work together one-on-one, and we can talk more about the programs that I have available. If you want to schedule a free discovery call, the link is in the description. If you know anybody that is looking for a keynote speaker or a workshop facilitator for team development, for leadership presence, for leadership development, schedule that free discovery call. I got a lot of amazing offers that I am booking out into 2026 for. And as always, I just want to pray over the remainder of this year and into 2026 and thank God for the unique path that he's chosen for each and every one of us. And God, I also just want to speak abundance and peace and love and joy over every single person listening to this episode. God, I pray that in everything you show us clearly how dominant your hand is in our lives, how supported and loved we are by you no matter what. 2026 is going to be big, guys. I feel it. It's the year of the horse. It is the year of the mother freaking horse. Giddy up. I love you guys so much, and I will see you next time on the Gabby Rosley podcast. Ciao.
Hold up now, y'all. Before you head out, I need to say thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode, and most importantly, thank you for making the conscious decision to invest in yourself and expand your mind, heart, and spirit. Because you showed up for you, you are helping others live better lives. Whether you know it or not, you are inspiring others daily. And if you're feeling fired up, keep the domino effect alive and share this episode with someone that you love. If you're feeling extra saucy, leave the show a review because it really, really helps me out. And come back and hang with me again sometime. New episodes every other Monday at 8 a.m. Keep shining your unique light. I see you, and I love you.